I am not a Nigerian, and I therefore don't claim to know more than the Nigerian people, but I am a researcher and an observer. And I've taken time to read through the lines from social, political to religion and to the cultural diversifications of Nigeria to come to the conclusion that it may have to take one of these two events happening in Nigeria to put the country on a genuine path towards a real sustainable development in peace. Note, the emphasis is on development in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that when you have more than 220 million people to manage, with over 250 ethnic groups speaking more than 500 languages, and having Islam and Christianity at crossroads, you always or already have too much burden on your hands. This is the description of Nigeria in shorthand. Their situation is unlike anything in any country in the world. And I know that the breakdown of my observation, which I'm about to provide, will not be welcomed by all, but will definitely start a continental conversation, which I strongly believe can no longer be delayed. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the two situations I strongly believe will both have to happen, or have one of them happen to usher Nigeria into a realistic path towards development in peace. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Cyrus. Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for more of my content. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria, based on my findings, should have experienced what happened between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo in terms of forming a country at the point of attaining independence. But that opportunity was denied them. You see, Nigeria has been growing apart since their days of independence. Their tribal and religious lines are more highlighted now than ever before. Nigeria could have been at least 3 different countries at the point of independence, but the colonial government at the time made the decision to keep them together. And today, the division is imminent and is always problematic. The division between the IGBOS, Yorubas, and the northern states forms the fundamental reason why Nigeria is struggling to see peace. Ever since my first encounter with a Nigerian, an Igbo family to be precise, was the first time I ever heard of the word Biafra. I would typically call them Nigerians, and they will correct me by preferring to be called Biafrans or Igbos. I thought it was similar to our tribes where we have the Akans and Ewes and so on. But they would insist Biafra isn't just their tribe, but their country, which seemed like a country within a country. Now, that was in the 1990s, but till today, their dream of having an independent Biafran country separated from the Republic of Nigeria is vibrant and discussed in their circles, which makes me wonder, could that be one of the conditions that may have to happen to have a more manageable Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen? Check out these facts. The Igbos claim that Nigeria as a country led by the majority Hausa population has made a conscious decision to not allow for an Igbo person to rule the country again. This statement is on the lips of every Igbo person I've ever encountered. And the fact is, the only time an Igbo man was called president of Nigeria was when Nigeria became a republic in 1963 and were in a transition phase. President Nnamdi Azikiwe was only a ceremonial president, whereas Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa held executive power, which means no Igbo man has ever run in an election and been elected as executive president of Nigeria in the history of the country. No Igbo man, not one. The Nigerian presidency has largely rotated between the north, mostly the Hausa and the Fulanis, and the southwest, the Yoruba people. Peter Obi of the Labour Party is so far the only 100% Igbo presidential candidate who gained significant followership in their elections in 2023. And even with that, ladies and gentlemen, the Labour Party had 25.4% of the votes. The agitation for a separate country is real. The push by the IGBOS to break away from Nigeria due to their observance that the political leadership of the country has targeted them is very real. Their distrust of the political setup of Nigeria goes as far as abbreviating the Naira to mean never an Igbo rule again. This is serious stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Some Igbos actually believe that the Nigerian Naira currency was named after them. Never an Igbo rule again. They make claims like they are sidelined in every aspect of federal government positions, including in the military, government roles, including ministerial roles, and so on and so forth. And my research shows that by 2015, Igbos constituted approximately 18.5% of Nigeria's federal civil service workforce. Meanwhile, the core Igbo state formed 3% of Nigeria's land, and the broader cessationist claim up to 18% of Nigeria's land area. Their population is like the population of Ghana, 35 million people, representing 15.2% of Nigeria's total population, with one dream in mind: the Republic of Biafra. What do you make of this, ladies and gentlemen? Is there a chance for Biafra to be a country? And could that help Nigeria ultimately to have a more manageable country? Could other tribes demand for their separation if that should happen? Will it help the Republic of Nigeria? Yes or no? Let's hear from you in the comment section, and let's be civil whilst we do that. The next thing is the state of religious divide in Nigeria. As of 2025, 12 out of the 36 states in Nigeria have enacted the Islamic Sharia law, which means federal laws are subject to the laws of the Sharia, which also means apostates, traditionalists, Christians, and non-followers of Islam will either have to relocate or pay jizya, which is a tax for non-Muslims living under the Sharia law, or in the best case scenario, not practice their religion. This explains why there is so much killings and bloodshed in the land. Religion and the notion of ethnic superiority has totally divided the country. They have fought for many decades and thousands have died in the cause. It is only in recent times, ladies and gentlemen, when social media is available, that we get to see some of these feats of deaths happening in Nigeria. When tribal and religious problems coupled with bad leadership is your reality all the time as a country, what will actually be the hope for a better future when you live in such a country? Therefore, after doing my research into these matters, I concluded that perhaps, and I mean maybe, Nigeria will have to go the path of India and Pakistan, or maybe Malaysia and Singapore, to give them a true chance at development in peace. To the Igbos, I know they will say exactly so and will be 100% in support of this suggestion. But to the Nigerian Republic, this will be treason at the highest order. This is why Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Igbo political group, was arrested by the Department of Services of Nigeria in 2015 on treason felony account, and until now still fighting for bail. That's for my first opinion on what it will take to see Nigeria be the giant it claims to be. The second condition I believe must definitely happen to reset Nigeria is when they put in a true patriot as the president of the country, a no-nonsense leader who is ready to break the shackle of political elitism and economic monopoly of the country. The person will have to be ruthless and fearless. A lot of mighty trees need to fall, and the elephants must be grounded. Something similar to what the president of El Salvador had to do to restore law and order in his country. This person cannot come out of the existing political class. Ladies and gentlemen, that will not work. He must be an outsider with no political ties to any godfathers. The Traore type of leadership with one aim in mind, on a rescue mission for the reset of Nigeria. Nigeria really needs a reset. We can play with words online as much as we want, but the reality will still stare us in the face. Nigeria definitely needs a reset. When you see the number of deaths to extremist groups and the level of migration of their youth, you know that something is terribly wrong there. On top of that, their currency is in a spiral fall, ladies and gentlemen. The president of Nigeria, whom majority of their internet bloggers and the youth speak against for bad governance, has just won his party's primaries to run again in Nigeria's next election. What is happening there? Will there ever be change in Nigeria? Because this is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen, it's like the people are complaining, and yet the political systems in the country are set up in such a way that it's easily skewed in favor of one person from a particular political class winning all the time. It's like it's always determined before they even vote. When will this ever change? A country like Nigeria should have been feeding the world. They could have been rocking shoulders with the Asian tigers. Their potential is at par with Brazil. But the sad reality is Brazil has a GDP of $2.5 trillion, where Nigeria is still idling with $400 billion. Nigeria could use a reset, ladies and gentlemen, and it could be led by one man. Could it be Peter Obi? I doubt, since he is from the same political cloth. I am waiting for the day when we wake up to the news that there is a shakedown in Nigeria and someone with the bravery of Captain Traore has been put in office through an election. That will be the beginning of Africa's greatness. Trust me, that day will be special to watch. Let's hear from you in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen, and let's keep it civil. God bless Nigeria and the entire motherland. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this. I'll come your way with another one very soon. Until then, God bless you, and it's bye-bye for now.
Honestly, you've explained it all, sir. Thank you very much for your accurate research. And honestly, it is an eye-opening to listen to this particular explanation research, because a lot of things are actually happening in Nigeria, and after listening to what he has to say, there are some one or two things I just want to add to it. And please, before I go, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, kindly subscribe and also turn on the post notification bell to get notified, so that whenever we upload a new video, you'll be the first to be notified easily. Like I tell you, this channel is created to enlighten people, to educate people, to also tell you what God is saying concerning things, and research, eye-opening one for that matter. As you all know, Nigeria is being led by spiritual father and political leaders that are put in position based on favor that are being owed to their father or to them when they were young. Okay, let's take this Tinubu's presidential run and whatever he's doing in office right now as a case study. If you really want to analyze what Tinubu is actually doing currently and what has been happening for the past 2 years plus since he took power, you will actually see that it's like a kingship, something that is being handed over to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And honestly, I don't have any problem him being power being handed over to him, but my problem with him is that majority of the thing he promised people during his campaign, he's not actually fulfilling those promises. The only promises I know that he actually fulfilled during his campaign will be when he says that it is his turn to become the president of Nigeria, and he's going to become that whether we like it or not. He's going to take it by force, and truly he actually did that, which that particular promises he actually fulfilled it. But what I'm actually looking at in terms of growth, in terms of creativity, innovation, peace, and growth in the system, there is nothing. It's total fail, it's total flop in Nigeria. And I just hope that we are actually wise to come together. Let's forget about ethnic group. I understand that a lot of an ethnic group in Nigeria, which is the Igbo, have been hurt so greatly, and a lot of Igbo do not even want to associate themselves with Nigeria. And one thing you need to know as Igbos in the house, Nigerian leaders will not let you go, because you know how much you bring to the table. That is one thing the Igbos need to do. Imagine that the way Igbos are in nature and they are no longer part of Nigeria. Don't you think it's going to affect Nigeria greatly? Do you think that they don't know what they are doing? But my only problem is like, allow these things to go circle. Allow every ethnic group in Nigeria to be able to have a voice, to be able to stand for presidency if they are equal to the tax and they are qualified. If everything is being checked and they say, oh, this particular person is qualified to run for presidency, and presidency can be given to him or her, and at the end of the day they are able to actually carry out their work, I think it will be something good. And sometimes we need fresh blood in the system. Sometimes we are tired of these people that are above 70. They come, you don't even know what they do. Sometimes when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu opens his mouth, I feel like somebody should just close it. Imagine the war happening between Israel and Iran. He says that they are going to intervene, and I'm like, Oga, wait till you get, to intervene. Now you and your entire family go fight am. Abeg, if una wan fire una miss or anything, make una locate im house o, make una leave us out of anything, we no dey part of am. So those are the things I actually look at. And sometimes when he talks out of context. He talks as if he's a child sometimes, because I know old age, there's this says that goes, when you're old you become like a baby because you don't process your talk, you just say it anyhow the way it is. So I feel like Igbo should be given the chance to actually rule Nigeria if you don't want them to go. But if you want them to go, if you don't want them to become president, allow them to go. Why are you still keeping Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in captivity when you say that, oh, you don't want Igbo to become leaders in Nigeria? And this particular person say, okay, there's no problem. I'm not actually fighting for any position in Nigeria, and I do not want to become anything in Nigeria. All I'm fighting for, it's my people, it's their freedom, and that is why I want Biafra as a nation to actually come. I feel like Nigeria can actually bet 3 or more countries if they want to do so, and that will actually help us greatly in terms of growth, in terms of peace, and a lot of things. So if truly you don't want this particular ethnic group sitting in the seat of presidency, then let them go. Or better still, let Nigeria be divided into 7 regions, but they answer to the Oga Patapata at the top. But every region will be focused more on the growth and peace and security of their particular state or region per se. I think that matter was actually tabled last year, somewhere June, July last year, but unfortunately, it did not happen. But I just hope that is something that did not kick it under the rug. It's something that they actually consider to make sure that it comes to existence. I think it will help the injustice actually happening in Nigeria, and it to put a lot of states to rest, because we are tired of the North actually agitating. We are tired of the North feeling like, oh, they own Nigeria. We're tired of the North feeling like, and these things are mostly done by the Fulanis. It's not even the Hausas. Sometimes people do not really understand between the Hausas and the Fulani, but actually power has actually shoveled between the Fulanis and the Hausa in the North, but everybody actually categorize them as Hausas, Northerners. But a lot of Northerners have not actually hold any significant positions in Nigeria. I think even when it comes to presidency, I don't think any Hausa person has become the president of Nigeria. It's actually by the Fulani. You want to talk about Yaradua, you want to talk about IBB, you want to talk about Buhari. So all those people are Fulani people. They are not Hausas. So a lot of things, maybe an Hausa person has become the vice president, and Hausa person has actually hold maybe 3rd position in Nigeria. So all those things, yes, but sometimes the Hausas too are also being pushed to the wall by the Fulani. But because the Hausas are the radical ones when it comes to this issue of religion, this religion, that they actually carry it on their head, because they give birth to battalions. So their battalions will be on the street creating or causing havoc in those parts of the country. This issue of Boko Haram, Fulani herdsmen, and some certain type of group of killers and robbers that are actually unaliving people on weekly basis, daily basis in the northern part of Nigeria and north central and middle belt right now are actually led by these leaders. Because tell me why somebody will be in position, you just want that person out of that particular position, so you will do everything within your power to sabotage that person's reign and run for office. So you could actually spill blood, you could actually cost people their life just because of your political ambition game that you're going to gain at the end of the day. So these are things that we need to actually look into. He has actually said everything. I'm just adding my own jara to it. But honestly, there are things that I feel like as a Nigerian, towards we are preparing towards the 2027 presidential election, that we really need to look into. And there are things that I feel like the entire masses need to let their voices be heard. You can let your voices be heard not by actually coming to the street to actually agitate. With the help of social media right now, there are a lot of things that we can actually do, and I feel like we should trade with caution, and we should actually calculate a lot of movements before we make them, because make it make sense in this Nigeria. Make a lot of things make sense, but a lot of things are not making sense in terms of politics, in terms of spirituality, in terms of religion, in terms of tribal whole this thing. You see a lot of people hating on other tribes just because they belong to a particular ethnic group, or just because they come from a certain ethnic group. Mr. President, I think the First Lady of Nigeria says that they should drive all the evils away from Lagos State so that they could take over their property. Just imagine, that is somebody that is the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Look at the kind of words that comes out of her mouth. So people say, she said it when she was not the first lady. It was during the campaign, this and that. And I'm like, see, you don't know who you're going to become in future. So if you feel like your husband hold a significant position in society, your husband has become the governor of Lagos State. When you made that statement, your husband has actually ruled and packed his bag and has already moved as a governor. So you have been the first lady of a state. So why will you even utter such a statement? But some people will want to protect their egos and protect that particular individual because it comes from their ethnic group, or that person is their tribal person. So they will do everything just to sugarcoat everything, just to cover that person's shin. But actually, let that person know that what he or she has said, it is not correct, and let them stand to be corrected. So that is just what I have to say in this particular whole thing. But I really appreciate that someone else that is not Nigerian, a Ghanaian for that matter, was able to dig deep into the affairs of Nigeria and able to find some lot of significant points that actually make sense, that could actually put this country in balance if we actually apply this method that he has said. So please, just drop your thoughts and your opinion in the comment section below. Also, like I always tell you, this place we create room for people to learn. We create room for people's opinion to be heard. Your opinion can be heard anytime, and there are rooms for your opinion also to take shape, to manifest, because I feel like a lot of people have a lot to contribute to the growth of Nigeria if we really want to actually call a spade a spade. That is just what I feel like. A lot of people have a lot of things to contribute in terms of growth, in terms of security, in terms of peace, in terms of how to coexist in peace in Nigeria. So that is just what I want to say, and I'll see you in the next one shortly. And please, before I go, let me share this video on all social media platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, on X, on any platform that you are, that you know that this video will do a lot of good to people. Please help me share it, because it is very important to me, and I really want a lot of people to know about it. God bless you, and I'll see you soon.